Hello and welcome back to another episode of Spread Some Magic 1928. Today we are making Walt's chili. Now you can find a version of Walt's chili at the Carnation Cafe, and they do use it throughout the parks. Most recipes currently in like the Disneyland cookbooks and Disney Park cookbooks are an updated version of Walt's recipe using stew meat. I don't particularly like that version, so I searched for what was perhaps an original version of Walt's chili. Walt Disney was a very simple man and he liked simple eats, and chili was one of his favorite things. My guess is actually out of the can if it was around back then. He probably really liked innocence. So there was a recipe on the D23 website that is a ground beef recipe, and that's what we're going to use. However, it has you doing your chili beans from scratch, soaking your pink beans overnight, and then cooking them for 4 hours, and then adding the ground beef part of the chili to those beans. And those beans are also cooked with onion. We're not going to do that. They do sell chili beans in the store. They sell them as pinto chili beans, black chili beans, and kidney chili beans. None of those are pink beans. So I grabbed these Western chili beans. They are made with pinto beans. However, they already have some chili seasoning in them. So we're going to add these a bit later. At the time you would add everything together. Put those aside. So what we need to start is a 1/4 cup of cooking oil in your pot. I opted for olive oil. I'm going to heat that up. Add 2 pounds of ground beef, 1 coarsely chopped onion, and I honestly have 4 cloves of garlic. The recipe calls for 2, but I'm going to add the 4 cloves of garlic. We're going to brown that together, and then we're going to add our seasonings and a cup of chopped celery. So let me get this browning, and then I will be back to go over the seasonings and next steps. Okay, while your meat's browning, you can use this time to chop your celery, but mine's already chopped, so let's get our spices together. This recipe calls for 1 teaspoon ground mustard or dry mustard, 1 teaspoon or tolerable chili powder, and 1 teaspoon of paprika. So I'm going to add that to this bowl. And then if you wanted more zest, it also said you can add dry ginger, fennel seed, coriander seed. I've got ground. I don't want the actual seeds. Chili seed. So I'm going to put in a little bit of this chipotle chili powder. And then cumin seed. I've got ground cumin. Again, the seeds would be kind of crunchy, so I like the ground options. It also said you can do cinnamon and clove and basically whatever you want. So I'm going to do a teaspoon of the 3 it calls for, and then a pinch of ginger, coriander, chipotle chili powder, and cumin. So be right back. To your spice mix, don't forget, the recipe doesn't call for it, but you're going to want it, is a nice big pinch of salt. With the ground beef and the tomatoes and stuff, we need the salt for seasoning. And we're going to put that aside as well. What we're going to do next, this recipe calls for a can of hard-packed tomatoes. The best I can figure doing some research is that it's like the whole plum tomatoes in a can. So you want the large can. And what I like to do is I like to break them up by hand before I put them in the pot. So we're going to put them in here to give us a little bit more room. And then you may want to remove your rings for this. Just go in and give them a gentle squeeze. They may go everywhere. Guess I could have used a bigger bowl. But this just helps break them up before they go in the pan. You can continue to break them up using your spoon. You can wait till you put them in there. As messy as this is, I just find it's easier. I have a recipe for puttanesca, and this is what you do. So this is what I'm doing. All right, so this next step the recipe doesn't call for, but once you have your meat browned, create a little well. That's pretty juicy. We're gonna leave that in there because that is flavor. But I'm gonna add a tablespoon of tomato paste to the middle to make it a little bit richer in flavor. Cook there for a minute, being general there, and then mix it in to the meat. Once you have that tomato paste mixed in, try to get the meat all to like crumbly pieces. We're gonna put in our spices and then let them cook for about a minute. So we're gonna add our spices all over. Mix it up. And then next is we add our celery. And then our tomatoes. And then let simmer for 1 hour. All right, our chili has been simmering for 1 hour. So now it's time to add the beans. If you do them yourself or buy a can, now's the time. I'm gonna pull out about a cup, maybe a little more than 1 serving here for somebody in the house who does not like beans. So we're gonna put that over there for later. So now we're gonna start with 1 can and see what that looks like. These have a nice spice to them. So I'm glad I picked up these Western, what are they, Western style or just Western chili beans. And we're gonna look at that ratio of beans to meat, and I honestly think that 1 can is gonna be enough. Looks good to me. So now we're gonna let this simmer for another half hour and let those flavors come together, and then we will be ready to try. We've got a portion of Walt's chili right here. Now, legend, rumor, suggest that he liked to top with chopped tomatoes and some cheddar cheese. I've got some finely shredded cheddar cheese here. And then a dollop of sour cream. I would put more cheese, but thinking he probably did not. That works for me. So there we go. Walt's chili, the old-fashioned way. Let's dig in. All right, this looks so good. Sorry, you can hear my son playing video games in the background. It is what it is, it's summer. So we got a little bit of everything on there, some tomatoes, some cheese, and some sour cream. Cheers. I love the freshness that the tomatoes bring. Me, I would have doused this thing in cheese. That's okay. This is actually really, really good. Those chili beans are perfect and a lot easier than like 2 days of making pink beans. I don't know. This is really, really good. I would give it a try if you like homemade chili. Do this one. If you don't like beans, just leave them out like I did that side bowl or pot. But yeah, this is a good hearty meal. And I'm also super excited. The Disneyland Resort has been using this chili in a variety of ways, and I'm so excited to explore. I'll probably make a chili playlist on YouTube, so you can check that out. But this is our first one, so we need the base recipe, right? Before we can do all the other fun stuff. Anyhow, thanks for joining me today. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and spread some magic wherever you are. Until next time.